The data has become really big business in sport in the last 10 years. There's a lot of big data solutions being used, and as a result a lot of data organizations getting involved in sport, helping sport to manage and track data, whether that is looking purely at physical performance, so you have things like GPS tracking, looking at actual performance on the pitch or the field of play, so you can look at how much players have run, how much they've walked, how far they've run. There's obviously data in terms of what happens on the pitch, so things like completion, successful passes, interceptions, a whole range of different ways that you can analyze the performance of individuals, things like possession, and so there's a lot of data in terms of physical performance. There's also, though, things that are probably not as well known in terms of data in sport, is that there's a lot more around the psychological side now than people would have thought. So and actually it's interesting with sport because potentially the degree of data that's collected is far greater than you'd ever get in a business environment. So in lots of sports now you have players who are completing daily monitoring checks, so that whether that's rating their mood state or their emotional state, so linked to things like depression, mental health. You've got pain scales that are used in terms of how they're responding to physical training. Sleep is another one that's measured, because I can't get across just how important sleep is in terms of your ability to function effectively. But all those things are being measured on a daily basis in professional football teams, professional rugby teams, cricket teams as well. This data is being collected, and the data in itself is interesting on the day that it's collected. The real strength in that data is the trend data. I can see over time as a psychologist that player X is generally, scoring a 7 out of 10 for their mental health and well-being. They're ticking along quite well, and all of a sudden I see their scores dip to a 3. And what that then allows me to do is to intervene. I can go and talk to that player and act on that data. And we can also look at interactions between that data, because those mental health scores might have fallen from 7 to 3, and I think, there's a mental health issue here. But then I look at the sleep data and realise they're not sleeping, and actually it could be because of the fact they're not sleeping. So there's a lot of rich data that's being collected by players, and it's changed significantly. So I remember when I worked with England Cricket 10 years ago, we'd go on overseas tour with players and we'd get them to send a text message every day. They'd get a group text message with some questions. They just used to have to respond, and that was a very simple system, red, amber, green, in terms of kind of where they were. I know Man City, so a Man City Football Club, one of the richest clubs in England and probably European football, they have an app now that their players log into every day and complete scores in terms of how they're feeling, what their mental state is. Again, because they've then got a raft of experts, whether that's doctors, psychologists, physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, welfare or well-being staff as well, who all get access to this data with a view that instead of having services which are reactive, so you help people once they fall apart or they get injured, the whole aim of the system is to be proactive and to try and stop those things from happening, to see the warning signs, to see that actually someone's reporting the soreness scores, maybe we need to look at their training before they get a hamstring injury, or someone is reporting they're not sleeping very well. Well, actually, again, we need to look at that before something more significant happens, or they're reporting their motivation is down, which is a good indicator in terms of whether you're depressed or at risk of a mental health challenge. So again, you can intervene early, because it's a lot more cost effective to do that than trying to help people to recover or fix people once something has gone wrong.